White tarps cover the ground in central Gaza in the aftermath of deadly Israeli airstrikes. This man lost his son. In the darkness, I reached out to check on my young son who was sleeping beside me, he said, but I touched rubble instead. The Hamas-run health ministry says hundreds have been killed by Israeli airstrikes over 24 hours, one of the deadliest days of the war so far. The Al-Maghazi refugee camp was one of the hardest hit areas, faces filled with shock as the devastation sinks in. What happened is something no human can take, this man said. What happened is not a typical war. The destruction marked a dark Christmas day for Palestinian Christians in Gaza.
We don't feel Christmas even.
This man from Gaza City would normally be going to church, but he's been displaced and now living in Rafah.
I'm praying God to give us peace, asking all the international community to cease fire.
But still, no ceasefire in sight. A new Egyptian proposal received a cool reception from both sides. It called for the phased release of hostages and for Hamas and Islamic Jihad to give up power in Gaza. Hamas reportedly rejected it, while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who visited troops in Gaza, said, "We are not stopping. The war will continue until the end." Shortly after, in Jerusalem, Netanyahu's reception not so welcome. He was heckled in the Knesset by family members of hostages demanding their return. Some holding posters of relatives shouting, "Now." In Tel Aviv, a similar scene as protesters gathered in front of the Israeli Defense Ministry with hourglasses to symbolize the time running out for their loved ones.
We want to hear what's the plan. What's the plan now?
And Tanya, amid concerns about this conflict spreading, word tonight that Israeli forces have struck across the border inside Syria.
That's right, Renee. Iranian security sources say an Israeli airstrike near Damascus has killed a top general in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Now, Iran's government says, quote, the Israeli regime will definitely pay for this crime. Israeli officials, meanwhile, have declined to comment. Renee?
All right. Thanks, Tanya. That's Tanya Fletcher in Washington tonight.